Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Sean Douglas, professional speaker, master resilience implementer, performance enhancement expert, and author. Thank you so much for listening from wherever you are from around the world. This show is currently heard in 28 countries. I am ecstatic every time I get another message or I get a post about, hey, calling from here or listening from here, or all the messages that come in. So thank you to wherever you are listening from. This show is heard in countries like the United States, Canada, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, England, Ireland, like I said, Canada. I mean, they're listening from wherever. Mexico, they're listening everywhere. So thank you so much for listening from wherever you are. This show is all about our transformations. Here we talk about the why, which is the forefront of everything we do. We take that, we harness it into our transformation, and how we are using those two items to elevate everyone around us. And today, my guest is no different. She is going to wow you. She is going to blow your mind with the financial freedom. So if you're looking for financial freedom, this is the show. This is the episode to listen to. And I guarantee you will learn some amazing knowledge today. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Katherine Dean. What is going on?
Hey, Sean. Not much. It's a little chilly in New York right now, but I think we're getting a warm front tomorrow, so we're back.
Craziness.
I mean, yeah. Things are crazy the next month in a good way. So, which we'll talk about, which I'm excited about. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about how people can transform their relationship with money. So, from my own story.
I am super pumped. Yeah,
So
I am
cool.
so excited because I love financial freedom stuff, and I think I've got it figured out. And then all of a sudden, like, my Amazon Prime membership comes up, and I'm like, why do I have this? And then free shipping comes, and I'm like, oh, that's why, So I know you're gonna like. I just got rid of my cable and like DirecTV and like all that stuff. So that was like $150, $60, something like that dollars a month. So I just got rid of that. Mm-hmm. So I am super pumped for what you're going to unload on us today. So if you are ready, I am ready.
I'm ready. So where do you want to begin?
Awesome. So for those listening, you can join us every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and every other Friday, so like the first and third Fridays of the month at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're listening live right now, you can ask our guests a question, which this is the most fun that I have on the show, is taking people's calls as long as they're like legit, and because I screen them all. But it's live, so for you listening right now, you have a question for Katherine, you can call in at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And so if you are listening from iTunes, make sure you join us on a live show and you can ask your questions. So Katherine Dean, so this episode is called Living Your Worth with Katherine Dean. Katherine Dean is known as the financial empowerment woman because her experience in the financial services industry has helped hundreds of business owners, entrepreneurs, and women create their path to wealth and freedom. Katherine has her MBA from LIU and is a certified financial planner, the founder of Living Your Worth Incorporated, and creator of the popular Wealth to Freedom Formula program. She has spent 19 years guiding people to be on their own financial freedom path. She has her own on-target retirement plan and receives passive income from real estate and investments. Let's get ready to transform your relationship with money Use your vision for a kick-butt financial future and create your path to wealth. And you can look her up at www.wealth2freedom.com/ARCHETYPE. So archetype. You can look it up on Facebook.com/Wealth2Freedom. And then go ahead and look her up on LinkedIn. And all of the links are in the show notes. So the first question I have for you, Katherine, is why? It's always the first question that I always ask on the show. It's the first question I ask myself every day, which is why? Why do what you do?
Why do what I do? Oh, my goodness. Well, I can start from childhood, where I did have very successful parents that were entrepreneurs themselves. They owned real estate. My mother had her own company, several companies throughout my life. But they were extremely successful, but constantly fought about money. So from a very early age, I just thought that money equaled turmoil, right? Like if we talked about money, there was always going to be a fight about it. And again, through their challenges and where they led, I grew up and decided I wasn't going to do anything with business, and I was going to go to LIU undergrad for marine biology, and really kind of did the complete opposite. Like I was just going to play with animals all day. That was what I thought I wanted to do. So I get out of college. I killed myself in 4 years for a 5-year degree in 4 years so that I can, I've always been a go-getter and always had this spirit inside of me. And then I got out of college and decided to go for my MBA because I knew business really was where I wanted to be. Right. And I laugh at it now because when I was going through it, I'm like, damn, I just did all of this and this is where I'm going. Why would I do that to myself? So I got my MBA and instantly went into the financial services industry because I needed to understand money. I needed to know what made people tick. Why do people argue about money? Why are there so many emotions with money? Because I was still really young at the time, right? So I get into the industry and I loved it. I loved how people started to get money as a tool, and that's really what I talk about, and we can get into that in a little bit, but really money as a tool, get the emotion out of it. What are you looking for in your life? And we're going to just use money because we're not getting rid of money. That's our commodity that we exchange with, right? How are you going to use that to get to the next step? So I was in the industry for a while, got married, had 2 beautiful, young, healthy daughters. And about, this was in 2010, I went out for date night, 2 very small kids, 1 and 3 years old at home. And as you know, you have young kids. Date night is like, holy cow, I get to go out and be an adult and have a glass of wine. So I was so excited. We go out, our food comes, and my spouse says to me, I think we need a break. And I was like, what? Where did I? And I had no clue it was even coming, not a clue. And at that point in time, as my life just really fell apart at the seams, I lived 2-family income household, 2 young children. I didn't have a ton of family that lived around me for support. But what happened was I instantly knew I had to, take the reins and start doing something, if nothing, just to keep the house, food on the table. And my daughter was going to be going to preschool in the fall. This was 2 days after Mother's Day. So thankfully it wasn't on Mother's Day, but it was the Tuesday after Mother's Day. And so I came home and I was just disarray. The emotion tied to getting a divorce, because I knew it wasn't a break. I knew what that meant. It was a soft letdown for what was inevitable, knowing my spouse at the time, and having 2 young children where I was trying to keep my emotion together to not affect them. And, it's such an influential time in their life. And just to keep food on the table, keep the house, because I wanted to keep as much familiarity for me and the children. And what happened was I started a vision. Like I started, so what do I need to accomplish in the next 6 months of my life to keep myself together? And it was my house, it was getting food on the table, and sending my daughter to preschool. Like I had 3 main objectives. If nothing else helped, that was going to be where I was going to go. And that's exactly what I started to do. Now, remember, I was in the industry, and I wasn't doing what I was telling my clients to do. I was communicating the right things to do, and I was putting more away for my spouse in retirement. I didn't have my own bank account set aside for an emergency fund. Like I did the complete opposite of what I tell my clients to do, because so often, right, we rob ourselves of the freedom for ourselves, for our clients. So that's
it's so hard to take our own advice.
It is. And, and what's so interesting is at that time I thought, my God, this is what you've been doing for almost 13, 12 years of your life at this point, and you didn't have your past because you were that's when it happens, when you don't expect it. Like a spouse dies, something happens in the family, divorce happens, like some major event happens, and that's when eventually you're like, wow, I need to get it in order. And that's what happened. And over the last 7 years of my life, I have created this incredible life, multiple six-figure income. I have a new spouse. We're celebrating 2 years on the 28th of November. So,
wow.
But through all of that transition in my life, I have become, my why came out of, I'm not the only one, right? I'm not the only one that's going through this. And not until, I had the white picket fence. I still have the golden retriever. He turns 13 on the 30th.
Oh,
I live in the happiest town in America. It's been voted that. And here I am, I wasn't set up. So through my journey and through creating this vision and this incredible roadmap for what has made me successful, and now I have passive income, and I have an on-target retirement plan. I sleep at night. I no longer have those sleepless nights over money because I know what's in place. I know I have the oh crap fund. I know that I go in, I'm set up for 3 happy family vacations a year to most of the destinations of our choice. Yeah. So, and the only reason I'm sharing this is because for anybody listening, it is a possibility. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't see it for ourselves. It's having somebody there that can keep you accountable and can pull you through the dark times and take that emotion out of everything to really have a clearer picture, right? So thank goodness I was in that industry. I didn't tell anybody for a whole week. I was so upset at the failure I had. I failed at what I thought was the best thing in my life, was my marriage. I failed at it. First of all, I didn't even know it was unraveling. So I was, and there's always 3 stories. There's mine, yours, and then ours, the whole thing that really happened. And I take full responsibility for my portion of it and for what happened, because I obviously didn't see the signs of what was going to happen. But out of that has become, it really was a blessing in disguise, because I have 2 very healthy, happy children. I do get along with my ex now. We have full communication about our children. I have full communication with my ex's family. It's become so much more embracing because I chose my future versus being a victim of my future. And when I chose that, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing by my kids. I'm not going to badmouth my ex. This is important to me. I'm going to choose a financial path for my future that I can be empowered, and therefore I can now start empowering people from a totally different space, right? The way I was speaking to people in 2010 is definitely not the way I speak to people now, definitely not the way I communicate, or I actually do financial empowerment and financial coaching, because it's not all about wealth management. It's about understanding wealth as a tool, and wealth is different for everybody. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all. It's not like you can go online and you can read a program and say, oh, that's how I'm going to do it because that's what worked for that person. But everybody has a different path. Everybody wants a different future.
Right.
And I realize that now, whereas before it was very cookie cutter for me. It was like, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, and that's not how I operate anymore. And so that is so incredible. I know I'm going on, but it's just, you can see I'm totally passionate about money is just a tool. Money is just the catalyst to get there. But my why is nobody that I work with or I come across is going through what I went through. That is my mission in life, that people if something terrible or a transition or a 180 happens in your life, you're just prepared and you can breathe easier and you can deal with the emotional part of it without having to worry about the money part of it. Because that sometimes goes so hand in hand, or I shouldn't say sometimes, all the time. So, so that's how I came about to do this Wealth to Freedom Formula program and Living Your Worth, because you really need to live into who you are as a person and embrace your strengths and who you are and where you want to be going. Don't allow anybody to set you back on that. Live your dreams, live the life that you want to be living, because we come around once, and why not enjoy it while we're here, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So that's a long-winded answer, but that is my why.
So as we recap,
yeah,
I love
exactly.
it, though. I love the passion. I love you hit on so many different things. You know what I mean? You hit on so much. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So what was that transformational moment for you that said, I have to not live the way that I'm living, right? Like I have to, had the white picket fence, and then, you're living in this town and doing all the things that you're doing. But what was that moment for you that says, I must be financially free? And I think that it speaks to some people are comfortable like living in debt, and they're just like, well, whatever. Or they just don't think it's for them. Like, oh, I can never be rich, and it'll never happen. And, some people just don't get living below their means. They just don't get it,
Yeah.
So what was that transformational moment for you that said that I have to change this, and this is what I'm going to do with my life?
The transformational moment was actually realizing that I lived the exact life my parents, like they got divorced after 34 years. And I realized that, oh my God, although I wasn't married 34 years, I followed in the same exact footsteps, because that's really, and I talk about this in my program, is your financial archetype, because we really are reliving what we're taught as children and also into early adult years. And until we actually realize how we're relating to money, we can't have that shift. We can't have that mindset shift, because it's like almost like a wall in our way that we're not seeing. It's a blind spot that we're not aware of. So that's the first thing I actually talk about in my program is financial mindset and what your financial archetype is. And once I saw that shift, it was like, oh my God, now became obsessed. Like, okay, so if I'm feeling this way, I know a ton of people are feeling this way. And if I have to get new tires and can't afford $400, a quick stat, 66 million Americans are unprepared for a $400 expense. For me, on an SUV, that's tires. And that was my life. And I had a ton of debt, and I had I was living paycheck to paycheck, and how am I going to survive, and didn't have any passive income in case something were to happen to me. Right. And once I had that transition, it was like, okay, let me put together my roadmap. How am I going to get there? And once I put together the roadmap, it was like, okay, I'm going to carve out this. Okay, that's done. Now I'm going to go to the emergency fund. Okay, emergency fund, we have that taken care of while we're still paying ourselves first and putting money away. And then it was, okay, now I'm ready for some passive income, because I want income, which if anybody listening doesn't know what passive income is, that's income you're collecting on a weekly, monthly, annual, quarterly basis that you're not actually working for. Your money is working for you. So that became really powerful, and I was like, wow, wait a second. I don't have to work. I knew what it was, but once I started collecting it, I'm like, wait a second. I can collect all this income, and I don't have to work for it? Like, that is like an that was what really, that was the next step. And when that happened, I said, this is it. People need to transform how they're relating to money. I need to understand how this is working. I need to get this working for people. And I need to get them to just own and love money again. Like when we were children, we played, store, and we would exchange things. It would be fun. But then when we get older, we dread it. We have that love-hate relationship. We love money when we can afford what we want. But when the bills come in, we hate it because we can't afford what we want, right? And to get out of that tumultuous stage is an incredible way to live your life. And to not be a victim anymore of the salary you're collecting, or you're creating a business and you're an entrepreneur, and there are highs and lows, as we all know, in having your own business. But having the plan in place, and you'll hear me say that 1,000 times over, is the plan and knowing where you're going. It's not good enough just to say, I want to have $1 million when I retire. That's great. So does everybody. But how are you going to get there? What plan are you putting in place to get there? And it's not about depriving yourself. It's about just knowing, you don't need the $1,000 iPhone maybe. Maybe the $1,000 could be working for you, and then in the long run, you'll have all that much more in retirement to be able to enjoy retirement. Or maybe it's putting it towards a down payment on an investment property, or putting it in an investment that's working for you. Like once you shift the mindset of how money can work for you, it's an incredible power that you can have. So
I didn't even know what passive income was until like a year or two ago. I just had no idea. It wasn't something that, it wasn't like, well, let your money build wealth, and building wealth was, dumping money into a Roth IRA. Building wealth was, maybe you're lucky enough to afford some real estate, because a lot of people build wealth in real estate because it's easier than other things. I know people who build wealth in stocks. I know people who, but they have these things, and I had stocks too, but I didn't know that dividend stocks was technically passive income. I was like, oh, it's going to pay me. It wasn't a term. Passive wasn't a term. Other people call it horizontal income. You have your vertical income where you work every day, and then you have horizontal income, which means I'm getting paid while I'm sleeping. For example, my book gets bought on Amazon while I'm sleeping. It's a passive income. Not a great passive income stream. Was designed to be a passive income stream, but it's just a revenue stream. But what I've learned in the past year is that to create wealth, period, you have to create those passive income streams and not use a lot of credit.
Yeah, and watch the credit, because you'll hear me also say this. Credit cards are not in there to make you money. Credit cards are there making money on the front end when you do purchases, and on the back end when you pay all that interest. And we are not built in America. We are not taught in, it's not just here, it's all over the world. We are not taught that credit cards can eat at every single thing that you want to do with your future. It inhibits your growth financially. It inhibits your peace of mind. You start to have anxiety and stress, and maybe you start to covet money. Like, there's so many different emotions that are tied, and credit card debt is, death by 1,000 cuts. Like, it just, every month it comes in and you're paying more in interest than you are in what your purchases were. You need a plan to get that taken care of, that is what starts creating the peace of mind. And the happiness isn't when you purchase things, right? The happiness is in maybe places that you go or spending time with your family. And so often we think it's by purchasing an item, but that wears off pretty quickly. A new car wears off pretty quickly. It might be 2 months, it might be a month, but the purchase, that excitement, I'm not saying don't buy a new car. What I'm saying is really look at how you're relating to money and how much happiness you actually get out of purchasing items. And that's a financial mindset shift, So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yep. Nailed it. I love it. I love it. Nailed it. And so another question that I ask a lot of is so it's a kind of a two-part question. So what has been the best part about your transformation? Is it, I can now afford those $400 tires? Or, because you were living a certain way before, and you kind of spoke to a little bit of that. What has been the best part about your transformation so far?
The best part is I am now living my life on my terms. I am involved in a few different businesses. And then once my transformation happened, and now I can be out there in the world and I can bring people and lift them, and they can now feel what I feel, and they can now be living the way that I decided that I was going to be living, and they no longer have to have that stress or anxiety. To me, if I can have an effect on just one person, anybody that I come into contact with, you'll see I'll be at social parties with adults, and somebody will say something about money, and I instantly go into it like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? And we start having a conversation. They're like, what are you talking about? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's what you do for a living. Because I think that there's so much power in owning who you are, owning yourself, owning your worth, and owning your financial freedom, that I don't think anything compares to it. Like I said, I have an incredible family life. I have an incredible spouse, and it's because we're on the same page. Now, I am married to somebody who is a complete saver, like saver in the bank saver. And I am an entrepreneur and want to spend money and expand and say passive income. So when we have conversations, it was not easy in the beginning because I came from a household of entrepreneurs. And unfortunately for me, somebody coming from a household where you cash in dividends all the time when you work for a very big company, it was like, what are you doing? Like, you can get that money working for you still, you know? So it was a real learning process, but I made a commitment that I was not going to allow that to inhibit our financial success. And we're going to be on the same page. And we do have full-blown discussions because it's all about compromise. You know, I might say, oh, yeah, let's go spend $100,000 on this investment property. And if my spouse isn't feeling comfortable with that, that is not going to make things work very well. So I really need to come up with my reasons why and have a full-blown discussion and say, okay, and show the progress for the future versus, well, this is what we're doing and that's it, you know, and that does cause a lot of friction in families also. So that's a big, we could have a whole 2-hour conversation about that.
Right. Yeah. So speaking of the bad stuff, right? So that's what about the bad? Like, what's been the worst part about transforming your money mindset? What has been the worst part about it?
I laugh because people started seeing me differently. I don't know how to explain that, but it was like, where are you coming from? It was almost like I was speaking a foreign language, like I was speaking English in a foreign country that doesn't speak English. Like all of a sudden, since my mindset shifted, people were like, are you taking some happy pills? Like, what is going on here? And then I started to explain it. Now they love me for me, right? But initially it was like, I think she's gone off the deep end. What is she talking about? What is she you know, and also I'm a female, and most females don't talk about money. And here I am blabbing it out to the world, talking about money and money transformation and loving what you're doing and loving money and enjoy. Like, and I'm not saying loving money that you have to hoard it or because you just want to be rich, because rich is different for everybody, right? I mean, like loving that it can create freedom for you and loving that you can transform and transition things in your life and not be a victim of it. So people that was probably the toughest part. Was all of a sudden I don't want to say I saw the light like in a religious way, but I saw this alternative way of relating to it, and people were like, oh, wow, okay. And then it took them a little time to adjust because I wasn't like that before. Like I was just really structured on, this is what you do. You invest 10% in your 401k. Like I was real boring. Now it's like, oh my God, there's so many different opportunities out there. And let's talk about what makes you, like what jazzes you up, and let's start your roadmap for that. So can I share a resource for people? Is that okay?
Yeah. There'll be a point in the show where we absolutely share resources. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
So.
Well, awesome. So that was my big, like, it was owning that was it. It was owning who I was and sharing it with the world and being uncomfortable because I was on a mission. That was my uncomfortable part.
That's huge. No, that's huge because I think people identify with that. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely think that people identify with that because I'm in a mastermind called M1, and we talk about financial freedom, and we talk about passive income streams and what that looks like. And a lot of those guys are in real estate. A lot of them. There's me who is not. There's a couple other people who are not. So M1 is a great mastermind. But a lot of my friends who are not in that mastermind, they're like, what do you need masterminds for? And like, I mean, Google's got like a ton of information on it. Just Google what you want to know. Like, well, yeah, but like there's tips and tricks and things that people will never tell you about in Google. You know what I mean? But there's so much. I mean, we're inundated with information. I mean, I could just Google passive income streams and 1,000 different things come up. Like, how do I know what's best for me? And how do I, like, that's where it takes someone, you know, who's an expert to talk to you about it. Like some people just do not like going through the automated system to pay their phone bill or to pay a credit card or whatever. They just don't like the automated system. They'd rather just talk to somebody. Or if they have a question, they don't want to go through an automated system. Like, I'm the same way. I'd rather network with people than be stuck in some kind of like automated thing or an online course or what. Like, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I have a ton of questions. Like, what about this and what about this? And I mean, so I definitely get the look sometimes. People are like, oh, you don't need that. I'm like, I definitely need it. But it was like knowing yourself, right? Like knowing where your mindset is and what your relationship with money is. Are you a spender? Are you a saver? Are you a hoarder? Are you a, you know what I mean? So it's just, yeah, I think there's a lot of financial stuff that people don't talk about in like high school that should probably be talked about. Like a savings account is not an investment account.
Sure.
A savings account is a place where you store money to invest. That's it. But like, oh no, you gotta have a savings account. You gotta have a savings account because that's your investment. And that's your no. You don't invest at a 1% or half of a 1%. Like it doesn't work that way, So.
Well, you touched on the Google thing and the idea of that. And again, I have my own coach also, and I also get into collaboration with people. We have conversations, and I find it so important because, well, first off, 99.9% of people really don't hire somebody when it comes to money. They think they can do it on their own by doing Google. But then why do so many people have a ton of credit card debt and aren't getting money working for them? Because there's the knowing, right? You understand it. I could Google things too. Like I could Google exactly what my coach helps me with, but it's the conversation and getting real with what you want. But then it's actually doing it and having an accountability person there with you and holding you accountable for what you want for your future. Listen, Steve Jobs, he had a coach, right? Everybody has a conversation with somebody and stays in mastermind groups or stays in the conversation or has, some type of networking group that is consistent. Not like you go to one evening and then 2 months later you go to another. Like stays consistent because people really want for you what you want for your future. Like they want to see you succeed. And people want to be there and they want to support you in what you're looking for out of your life. So having the knowledge from people that are already doing it, like owning real estate, that's part of the ways that I have passive income. I have rental income and own real estate. And, and then I have investments plus with, and as an entrepreneur, you can collaborate with people and get passive income from referral sources and things. So there are so many different ways, but why are so many people Googling it, but then not getting in action? And that's where I say that over and over again because they will hire a weight loss coach. They will hire somebody to work out with them. They will hire them maybe to help write a book. There's so many different ways to hire people. But if you're going to retire, let's say you retire at 65 and you live for another 20 years, but you're not planning for that 20-year gap of income, it's like you definitely need to hire somebody and speak to somebody right away because you want your plan. You want to be comfortable. Who doesn't want to retire and be able to maybe take a trip to the Caribbean once a year? I do. I mean, I want a house in the Caribbean. That is one of my things. I want a bungalow in the Caribbean that I can bring my grandkids to, barring my kids want to have kids. Like I have this whole vision, but so we don't think 5 years. We don't even think 5 minutes ahead. We want a Starbucks coffee and it's going to add to our debt. We're like, oh no, we're going to pay $5 and it's just going on the credit card. Don't worry about it. We don't actually think if that $5 was working for me, what could that be in 20 years?
Right.
So I'm 100% in agreement that you have to be in the conversation for what you want for your future. And it might not just be money. It might be you want to build your business. You want to increase your business by 50%. Well, if you haven't been able to do that over the last 3 years, maybe it's time to talk to somebody that you're comfortable with and that you have vetted and that you want to have that relationship with for the following year to increase. So
nice.
That I couldn't be in so much more alignment with you with what you said. If you can't tell.
It's almost like I touched a nerve.
Oh, yes, please hire somebody. Hire somebody to help you, with whatever you're looking for to do, Yeah,
right, absolutely.
That's the cool thing. Yeah.
So Life Transformation Radio listeners, if you're listening, you heard it. Get a mentor. Get somebody who knows what they're doing. Hire an expert. Hire Katherine. Hire a professional to take care of what you need to take care of. If you have any questions for Katherine, you can call in at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And we are talking to Katherine Dean about living your worth and your wealth to freedom formula. So switching gears here, who has been your biggest influencer?
My biggest. This is funny. It's probably my Virgin Airlines man, my Virgin America, Richard Branson. you know what it is? Like, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to build a ship and send somebody into space. And I'm like, who the heck thinks of that? He probably, by following him over the years, you know what it is? He's like, he has this idea, and he's like, sure, I'm going to make it happen. And I didn't quite understand that when I was younger because, you know, I grew up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be in the corporate world and I'm going to save money over time and we'll see where that goes, right? And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. If you don't have fears and you're okay to fail, see, failure was one of my biggest, and I can be very vulnerable in this, where failure was, how do I explain it? The emotion I tied to failure was death. So when I got divorced and I equated failure to death, I mean, it totally destroyed me. Like and people are going to think, oh God, she really did a little bit of a transformation. I mourned my marriage and the failure of my marriage more than I mourned my father's death. And I can admit that now because I've dealt with it. But at the time when I actually realized that people fail, like the most successful people fall on their face probably 10 times to their one success, I was like, oh my God, like what have I been doing with my life? I haven't been playing on the skinny branches. Like I'm totally holding on to the oak tree at the basin. Like at the base of it, I'm like holding on to it with dear life. I never climbed up and kind of reached out and said, what is my potential? So that's why I love him so much, because if you actually follow him and see what he's doing, he just like, yeah, I'm going to try it. Who cares? You know, and he has such a following, and he's such an inspiration because he's like, if it fails, move on to the next thing. You know, and if it's successful, awesome. I'll sell it for $1 billion in the future. Like he was probably my biggest influencer. As much as I don't know him and I would love to meet him, he probably
and go on his private island.
My biggest influencer. Yeah. Oh my God, in the Caribbean, I'd be there in a heartbeat. You could send me there. I'll be there in a heartbeat. A retreat, when you're doing a retreat, I'm there.
Yeah, I am so there. Like I was there as soon as you were like, "Hey, do you?" I was on a plane. So on the flip side of that, who has been your biggest supporter?
My spouse. Yeah, right.
Awesome.
Like I say ideas, and I hear, well, why can't that happen? I'm like, oh wait, it can happen. But I say, like, I just come up with these ideas and let's create this. Like I'm a Girl Scout leader in 6th grade. I have 16 girls in the troop right now. They keep trying to add in, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to, but I've been doing it since kindergarten. And the reason I've stuck with it is because I get so much more out of the influence of children and their ideas, and like, oh, why don't we just create this? And why don't we just create that? Then I think they get from me being their leader. You know, there's a reason why there's so many girls still in it, because we actually, like, I treat them like, listen, you're the entrepreneur of this troop. Let's figure out how you guys want to do things. You want to build, you want to build something for the local shelter, and you guys think that you can collect all of these things and we can deliver. Cool. I'm in. I'm there. I'll support you. So from doing things like that and having the support at home to just be free reign of, oh, that makes you happy, then why not try it? Which is kind of funny, because I never saw that in myself for a very long time. And then all of a sudden it was like, once I saw that igniting in myself, I'm like, oh, now I can really be around people and I can help other people see the biggest potential in them and like their future and how they feel about themselves. And I was like, wow, that's the inspiration. That's why mastermind groups are so important. And groups, like being around people like you and where you want to be going is so important, because when you're feeling that stress and you're feeling down on yourself and it's never going to happen, you know, like you get into that really low point, those people are the ones there pulling you through, because they know where you're going. You just don't see it for yourself. They see a bigger future than you see. And that's really cool. That's where you turn around and you're like, you know what, thank you, because I didn't see it for myself. You saw it, and look at where I've gotten to and where I've succeeded, because you saw what I saw, what I didn't see initially. You know, and I'm sure you have had that in your life. You know, people see things in you, you know, and you're like, wait, I'll just face the fear this one time, maybe it'll work. And then you're like, oh my God, it worked. Okay, let's face that fear. Oh my God, that worked too.
Yep. How do I do that again? Oh wait, I failed again. Like, what happened? Yep, definitely. Yep. Yeah, I've been there. Definitely been there. Yep. So if you had to go back at any point, would you change anything or would you do anything different?
What I don't know if I would change anything, and I know that everybody says that. I wish that I would have seen the potential in what I was creating, because then I would have had more influence on people with their financial life early on. Does that make sense? Yep. So I know the effect of what I'm doing. There would have been a bigger ripple effect by this point in my life versus, like, to me, there's billions in the world and I've worked with hundreds. Whereas maybe if I had seen this 10 years earlier, it may be up to thousands now. So that's the only thing that I can say, boy, I wish I saw it sooner.
Yeah, no kidding. I've done it a couple of times. I'm like, oh, where was this like 6 months ago? Like, oh my gosh. Like, you read a book, and you're just like, yes. Like, I want where was this 6 months ago? Like, yep, there's been a couple of times that something changed my life. Definitely.
Oh my God. And those are the things I'm like, because that means that more people would have had power with even their careers and their businesses, because if you have a good relationship with money, you can know your worth, and then you're charging the prices you should be charging and not undervaluing yourself. And I'm like, okay, so now I just have to speak all over the country, all over the world, and just get my message out there so that people can be empowered to know that there is a happy financial future coming their way, So, yeah. Yeah, you nailed it. Again, like, I got nothing. Like, you just nailed it. So what was the best resource that you found during your journey? The best resource, Brene Brown.
Was it like
reading her stuff. Brene Brown, reading her.
Brene Brown. Oh yeah, she's
being
amazing.
Vulnerable.
She's amazing. Oh my gosh, she's amazing.
Her. One day I'm going to meet her. I'm going to be at an event with her, and I'm going to just look at her and thank her for understanding that vulnerability and owning your greatness and not conforming to what society thinks you should conform to. And that's where greatness comes. Like, Steve Jobs didn't become great because he decided that he was going to pretend Apple wasn't working. Like, they decided to do things differently. People are going to be flying into space for $250,000, $300,000, not on NASA's dime. They're going to be paying for themselves because somebody saw that as different. And why not? Why not do this?
Yeah.
And those, I read her books and I share them with people and I talk about them. That was one of the biggest, ahas for me was, wait, I can be vulnerable and people can relate to you versus having my, lack of a better term, my SH bleep T together, having that together all the time and putting on this facade. Like, remember, I must have been totally living in my bubble. Like, I was living in the bubble of a perfect American dream. And then my American dream was literally torn out from underneath me because I was clueless that my American dream wasn't really the American dream I wanted to be living.
Right.
And so just to be vulnerable with people, to talk about what you're so passionate about, to really let those people look at you with kind of that weird look and then embrace you for who you are as a person, and not allowing others to influence your dreams. And live your dreams and be that dream for other people too.
Love it. Yeah, love it. So what is a resource that you would recommend to somebody?
A resource.
Yeah, what's a resource that you would recommend? You were going to mention something earlier. What is a resource that you would recommend to somebody?
Okay, so it's very easy. Go to www.wealthtofreedomroadmap.com. You can get the exact roadmap that I have. Very easy too. Simple steps on eliminating debt, activating savings, creating passive income. Like, it's step-by-step process. That's a free gift that you can go and you can get today. I would highly recommend that people actually get real with their financial picture. Like, just accept where you are right now and know that where you are right now is perfect and where you're going is amazing. So that's that I know it's not really a resource, but I'd highly recommend that you just accept, again, where you are and know that there are resources out there for people that can walk you through the steps. There are resources out there that you can have masterminds, you can talk to people, you can have networking groups. If you're a little vulnerable, believe me, you will have a huge weight lifted off your shoulders by talking to somebody and having the communication and just accepting. So that's another resource. Online, mint.com is a cool, it's a free tool where you can Mint. You can enter in everything so you actually know where the potholes are in your roadmap. So where where you might be spending a little too much, where you maybe need to cut back, where you actually may need to be putting some intention for putting money away for the future. And it's a free resource. It's real easy. You just log on, you put all your information in, and it connects everything, and you see a whole financial picture of where you're at.
Right.
So those are three big tools. When I go through the process, again, I start with the mindset, and then we go through the vision. What do you actually want, your financial goals? And then we start to create the roadmap to get there. And then we talk about the wealthy habits. The wealthy aren't wealthy because they have crappy habits. The wealthy are wealthy because they have consistent habits. And if you get comfortable with those habits and you understand those habits, you too can have a wealthy future, a very financially freeing future. So those are really a lot of the tools that I talk about. And get on your way. Accept it and just make a commitment to yourself. Make a commitment to yourself after this call to, really just sit down and kind of have an idea of where you're at. Reach out to me. You can reach out to me anytime. You have some of my resources, and I do speak around the country, so there are events. I'll be in North Carolina, which is your neck of the woods.
You're going to be in North Carolina when?
What? Friday.
Friday?
I'll be there Friday. I'm flying out tomorrow afternoon at Raleigh-Durham in the Tech Center down there.
Yeah, Raleigh's like an hour away from me.
Yeah, I'll be down there, and then I'll be in Houston the following week, and I have a webinar where I give you a ton of resources. I want to share as much as possible because, again, if I can have an effect on thousands and more than just hundreds of people, I would embrace that with all of my heart. So
yeah.
Where
are you speaking at in Raleigh? Is it like a financial event, or what's going on in Raleigh?
No, it's I'm one of the presenters. It's called Accelerate 2017. It's mainly female business owners and entrepreneurs. You can see it on my Facebook page. I've posted it. So, and I probably will post it again tomorrow because I know they have some tickets left. But there's really some great speakers coming. I shouldn't say some. There are a lot of great speakers coming. Pamela Brunner's going to be there. I'm trying to think of other people. Oh, God, I can't think off the top of my head.
I wish I would have heard about
really,
this. I would have so went.
Oh, sorry. It's what I'm focusing on there is, again, mindset and vision and all of that. But really, if you are ready to take 2018 and you're ready to launch your financial success in your business and tools and resources and maybe how to communicate and how to market yourself, this is the program that that I'm doing on Friday. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, good for you.
So, thank you. And it's been fun. It's fun when and that's the other thing, when people lift each other, it doesn't matter what business they're in, when people are all about serving other people, that becomes incredible. That's actually, my coach is Kristen Thompson. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Speak, Serve, Grow. She has this has been a 15-year dream of mine. Overall, I knew it was sitting there and I knew it, but I didn't know how to enact it. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, so how do I and I've been working with her for a while now, and she has been incredible because she's all about speaking from stage, which you're very comfortable with too. So now that's been, a fun dream of mine, is to get up on stage and talk to people and enjoy it and have fun and inspire. So, yeah, you and I are on the same page with that.
I absolutely love
cool.
speaking. I've been speaking since 2009, and I absolutely love being on stage. I did a turn and burn. So I woke up at 3:45 or 4 a.m. or something like that and drove to Baltimore this past Saturday, a couple of days ago. Drove to Baltimore, spoke in Baltimore, stayed all day. My talk was at like 3:30 in the afternoon, like towards the tail end, like I was one of the closing speakers. And so I got there. It was like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever it was. So my wife and the kids go meet some other friends that came down from New Jersey. So they're out, messing around, whatever all over Baltimore. I'm over here at the conference, hanging out, meeting people. Then I go and speak, and then we go out to dinner with those friends. And then I was like, all right, it's like 8, 9 o'clock. Guess we'll go home now. And then we drove another 4.5, 5 hour, whatever it was, to back home. Like we got up at it was like 4 a.m. and left.
Oh my goodness.
I think it was about a 4.5 hour drive. So we get there, we do everything, and then it was like 8, almost 9 o'clock. We're like, all right, well, I guess we'll go home now. And then we drove back, got home at like 2 in the morning, and then had to wake up like 5 hours later for church. Like that sucked, but it was worth it, to me. But it was like, whew, that's a lot, But that's the sacrifice that I do because I love what I do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a passion,
it's not a
it's
sacrifice
a purpose,
then, right? Yeah.
And it was really great to see friends. I have a lot of friends in Baltimore. It was great to see them. It was great to see the friends that came down from Jersey. I mean, think about it. When you and I are on stage, we have the greatest job ever. Like I can get on stage, I can make people laugh, I can meet all kinds of people and inspire and ignite transformation, right? And then I can go to dinner with like people that I haven't seen in a really long time, and I get paid to do all this. Like, it's a job. This is great.
It's not a job, right? It's like your love. It's like, right, I get to do this for a living. I'm living an incredible life.
Incredible.
Right? It's like, wow. Yeah, and
it
then
opens
you
so many
get
doors.
To meet, and such amazing people. And unfortunately, what happened in New York City yesterday, I was like, wait a second, it's Halloween. There's kids, and all I thought to myself is, I just wish that people would just embrace each other and love each other more. Like, just embrace how incredible and different we all are, and just love people for who they are, and embrace them, because when you actually sit down and everybody's come from a different path, right? Everybody has a different story. And if you actually embrace that and sit with people and just be with them, people are freaking amazing. They're just amazing. And you get to see a lot of people when you're traveling and you're going around and doing speaking engagements. And people are I am overwhelmed at how generous and how amazing people are. Just all walks of life, all over the world. And, I've been on podcasts throughout the world, and I'm like, everybody has some purpose. And when people get real with their purpose, it's like nothing can stop them. It's like, okay, so this happened, but you know what? I'm still going forward. And
exactly.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, you got to spend the time with the family. You got to do what you love to do. You got to see friends, and then you turned around and you got to go home and then see your church family. That's awesome.
Yeah, like all in one day. So it's been amazing. Like, it's just been amazing. Awesome. So let's talk about where you're headed now, right? And this is the moment of the show that I absolutely love. So as we close this out, we talk about where you're headed now. So what kind of new adventures, businesses, family, like what kind of things do you have going on right now?
Right now, well, November is a good crazy month for me. I have 3 speaking engagements, a live webinar. I am relaunching Wealth to Freedom Formula November 13th so that people can have me live in the program before 2018. All of a sudden I was like, you know what? I know how important it is for goals, and I know what I want from 2018. I want to do this live. I want to have live Q&A. I wanted to reconnect. So I'm doing that so that you're all set up for 2018 so you can start working on those incredible financial dreams. And then for 2018, I have a really high income goal that I'm working towards. So that's pretty cool. I'm in the middle of closing on another 2-family house right now. It's like there has been, as things open up, I feel like more and more doors. I actually was just invited to do an online like a whole webinar series, not webinar series, but like live training series.
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
we'll see if that pans out. So that's cool. And I have a lot of collaboration going on right now.
That's awesome.
So probably prior to 2017, the collaboration I wasn't 100% getting it. Now in my corporate, like the wealth management portion, I get it. But in this weird space of computers and kind of like you're speaking to the air all the time, I didn't get it. And then all of a sudden I started having conversations and seeing how powerful that is too, to start collaborate with people. And that was so cool. So I have a ton of collaboration coming up in 2018, and that's a lot of fun because you get to support incredible people that don't do what you do, or they might do similar things, but they might just be the right person for somebody else if you're not the right person. So that's a lot of fun. So more speaking engagements.
Awesome.
Definitely. I'm on target to really increase my income this year, which is really cool. And, having more influence. I really want to have more affect on people transforming their relationship with money.
That's
so
awesome.
That's what's on the horizon
I love it.
for me. Yeah. What's on the horizon for you? Are you able to share what's going on?
I guess. I mean, I've never been interviewed on my own show before, but
oh, good. Can I interview you a little? This is fun.
So I've got Veterans Day is coming up, and being that I'm a veteran, so I'll be probably doing a speech here shortly for that.
Nice.
Radio show. I'm thinking about starting a second podcast because I love this so much. Strictly about success, like financial success, relationship success. Like, what does it look like? You know what I mean? And how do we get there? Like, it's going to be a nut and bolt show. It's not going to be like this, well, if you want to know more, go to my website. No, we're going to talk about this. You know what I mean? Like, it's a literal, like, step one, click here. If you're following along, you can go to this website, click this. Like, how do I build this? Well, I'm going to show you how to build a website on this show. And you know what I'm saying? So everybody can, like, literally follow along, take notes. I mean, it's going to be great. I've already got like 4 or 5 different events lined up and confirmed for 2018 for speaking.
Nice.
So that's great. I'm all the way booked through like my radio show is booked all the way through next April. That's how many guests want to be on the show. And I'm already booked out through April, which I think is huge. That's massive. Got a couple podcasting events. There's a PodFest in Orlando in February that I've been invited to go to. I was going to speak there, but I was like, I think I want to go first and kind of check it out, kind of learn the community a little bit. So, but yeah, I got one in October. I've got one in July, got one in June, got one in October. I already said October, June, July, March, and I need more. So if anybody's looking for any speakers,
you too. That's
contact
how
Katherine and I.
Oh yeah. We love it. We love it because the people, even if you just see them for that 1 hour, they walk away with some tool in their pocket that they can use. That's what's so incredible about it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So cool.
how is it that you train, or how do you what is the vehicle that you use to change people's mindset about money, or how is it that you is it your online course? Is it your, one-on-one coaching? Or how is it that you transform people's lives when it comes to money?
Well, I do, like what you just said, I do an online course. That's the Wealth Freedom Formula course. I, again, am excited because it's going to be live this time, so you're going to really have access to me, whereas normally it's just online and that's how it goes, and that's like an entry level. You want to get your feet wet, but you might not be fully committed yet, right? Then I work with people in a group coaching setting, and I do private coaching, plus I do VIP days. So it really depends on where people are at in the process of their financial future. Like sometimes I'll work with, let's say, 2 doctors. The income is there. They just don't know how to put the tools in place. Normally in that scenario, I'll do a VIP day. Then they have access to me for a few more time after that, and I go through that. Some people just need from soup to nuts. Let's talk about your full financial picture. Let's increase your income in your business this year and all of that. That's where I do the group or the VIP coaching, because to stay in the conversation and it's not just a one-time thing, to stay in the conversation over time when you start to have questions or when things come up like when all the, what is hitting the fan and you're not quite sure how to navigate that, I hold the hand and get you through it. So those are the ways that I work with people. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done really real workshops yet, like in-person workshops. I don't know if that's my shtick or if I might do more of a retreat thing where I can bring in like yoga people and therapy, like to clear the mind of some stuff. Like that might be one of the routes I go. And that's later 2018. Just to have a retreat, get people away from their everyday life to really just get real with things and a little bit of planning, but also to get centered again, to get centered with who they are. Yep. So yeah. Perfect. But I don't have a date that's not on the horizon, but that might be something.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So this is the moment of the show. As we close, we do a shameless plug. You can plug your friends, quotes, websites, Facebooks, whatever it is that you want to plug. You can plug it here. This is your shameless plug. Go.
Awesome. Okay. Start with the roadmap, wealthtofreedomroadmap.com. Get the roadmap. Just kind of get a flavor for who I am and what I do and all of that. I'd love for you to be in the Wealth to Freedom Formula program starting November 13th. If you're really serious about getting your finances or your financial goals in order for 2018 and you want to just have an incredible financial future, I would highly recommend that you step into that program. You can go to wealthtofreedomformula.com. You can sign up right away. Or if you want to chat with me, I'd say email me, Katherine, which is Katherine, at wealthtofreedomformula.com if you just want to have a quick chat about it so that you understand what you'll get out of it. It says it on the website, but some people they're tactical. They want to touch things or have a communication. Or go to facebook.com / whatever that is, Wealth to Freedom. So I do Facebook Lives. I have a conversation. You can get my link for my live webinar on November 9th. And I'd highly recommend, if it's not me, if it's somebody else, that you just get in the conversation, that you love your financial future. Just love what you're doing and love how to get there and love your next, the next chapter in your life. Other resources, oh my goodness. I plugged other things, I talked about Apple, all these things. If you want to speak from stage, I love my coach, Kristen Thompson, speakservegrow.com. She just had her live event beginning of October. It was incredible. Incredible group of people that showed up and that are heart-centered, but also want to get their message out there. So she's a great resource. Mint.com. It's one of the easiest ways to get to see what's going on there. If you work for a corporation or if you work for a nonprofit, increase your 401k contribution and your 403b contribution. Even if it's by 1 or 2%, you will not see that in your paycheck. You'll see it, but it shouldn't affect your monthly income. And entrepreneurs, you should be having some sort of savings vehicle. And, I speak to some people's accountants. I have conversations there with lawyers for planning. That's where I get into the more VIP private stuff. But definitely speak to your accountant if it looks like something that you should be doing, and speak to a professional to get that in action. Anything else I'm not, this is so uncomfortable for me right now.
I'm just feverishly write them all down.
Oh my God. You're plug yourself. I'm like, oh my God. So I think just start with wealthtofreedomroadmap.com. You'll get a flavor and then think about getting into the program November 13th for sure. If you're serious about your 2018 goals and beyond, I would highly recommend that that's where you start. So, yeah. So there you go.
I agree.
And if you're speaking engagements, I'll plug myself just like you did. Because I love to be out there and to communicate with people.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
So as we wrap up, can you deliver your best nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone?
My best. The easiest way to start building wealth pay yourself first. We hear it all the
Really?
time. We see it. We start paying yourself first. This means that you are intentionally putting money away towards something for your future. If it's an investment property, if it's your first home, it could be your retirement in a 401k because you want to pay yourself first that way, or a 403b depending on where you're at in an organization or a nonprofit. Really start doing that and paying yourself first, because that gets you in the discipline of being able to start seeing financial goals come to life. And when you start to see it starts to multiply. And I truly mean that. That is the way to actually see your money working for you.
Huh. So there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. And it's a great financial book. Great, amazing book. And he talks about paying yourself first in that book. I believe it's 10%. So you give yourself 10% first. So whatever your monthly income is, you take 10% of that. It goes into a savings account, and you budget for it. So it's not just something that, oh, by the way, I have to put myself in there. Like, I mean, it's literally like a bill, you know. And so that's what it is. But don't, because you're slave to the borrower. You know what I mean? Or slave to the lender, or whatever they call it. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So, but it's a great book. I wanted to plug the resource. It's The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. It literally tells you how to be financially free, and it's got just like biblical principles and stuff like that. But it tells a lot of story stuff, and that's one of the resources. And it talks about paying yourself first, and you have to pay yourself first.
Awesome. Yeah,
I love it.
Think about it. If you're making $5,000 a month, let's just say, to keep numbers simple, and you actually live like you're making $4,500 a month, guess where that extra $500 goes to? It kind of goes into this abyss of a savings account, a 401k. So if you actually live up to only $4,500, that becomes powerful over time. You know, and I'm not saying live below your means, because that's kind of like a scare. Like, don't, like, you're taking something away from me. No. Live as though you're making $4,500 a month, because that $500 can just go to work for you right away. So great resource, though. I haven't read that book. I'm going to have to look into it.
Oh,
thank you. I just
wrote
it down as you were talking.
I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind. That book will absolutely blow your mind. So,
awesome.
Because there's other books. There's other books like, you know, Think and Grow Rich. Everybody's read that one, you know, but nobody applies it.
Oh, yeah.
The Rich Dad Poor Dad. I know guys who read that book like once a year. It's like a required reading, like once a year. You know, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. There's another, and his game. He has Kawasaki's got a game. I forgot the name of the game.
God. I see it because I played it.
I see the box. But anyway,
it's not nearly as easy as you think it is.
Right. Oh yeah, it's
I was like, ooh.
It's not like playing Monopoly. And then, you know, other ones are like, you know, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of books, you know, that you can read. You know, EntreLeadership, Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. I mean, Dave Ramsey's just amazing. You know, Total Money Makeover is great. But I would tell people, like, read The Richest Man in Babylon. I made my 14-year-old read it. You know, so he could know about money, like The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. It's an amazing book. Got to read it. Have to.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. That's my next one.
So what is our call to action? We always end the show with a call to action. Give us a call to action.
A call to action. Woo, boy. Oh, God.
Besides going to your stuff, because I'm going to promote that anyway.
Yeah. A call to action is really to just start. Just start. Take your first step. Take the step and just want it. Like, want to not think about when your credit card bills come in, are you going to be able to afford the minimum payments? Like, think about when your credit card bills come in, you pay it off on a monthly basis, and that's incredible. Like, think about how you can totally shift that. That's the call to action, is accepting where you are. That's my call to action. Accept and start moving forward.
Love it. You have to assess. And what I like about Mint.com is that they have budgets in there that you link directly to your accounts and stuff. Here's another app, okay? You're going to love this. There's a guy named Joseph Stengel, and he created a website and all that, but he created an app called I Was Broke, Now I'm Not.
No way.
And it's good. I was broke, now I'm not.
Oh,
yep. And so in there, if you're in debt, you can type in the debt calculator, and it will calculate exactly how long before you are debt free. Like if you made minimum payments every time, like no snowballs, literally it will calculate exactly how long it takes you to be debt free. I think I'm at like 2.3 years right now before I'm debt free. You know,
that's awesome.
So
congratulations.
So, but we started at 5, like a couple years ago. We started. It was like 5 years. Hasn't even been 5 years. It's been like 2 years. You know, so
that's
in
awesome.
in half the time, I've managed to do that. So, but yeah, I was broke. Now I'm not. It's a great app. There's a lot of games on there, financial stuff. You're gonna love it. It's absolutely amazing. So.
Oh my God! And I'll use it as a resource for people too.
There you go.
Cool.
I was broke. Now I'm not.
I have to play with everything before I offer. I'm like, I have to play with it and understand it so I can explain it.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So cool. Absolutely. So are there any last words before we close?
This has been a lot of fun. This has been great. I'm so glad. What you're doing, because I have listened and I watch what you post and stuff on Facebook and follow. Like, I love that you bring all these resources to people. I think it's incredible. I think that what you're doing is charging forward and having such an influence out there in the world. So I want to thank you for bringing the resources to an audience out there that really, gets a lot of benefit out of it. I've gotten benefit out of listening to some of the guests. So I want to say that, it's been great. It's been great. And I think that, you had a relationship person on, I'm like, what could I listen to? Because I'm in the car. I do drive in the car often enough by myself.
I listen to podcasts.
So, that's what I do.
Definitely. Yeah. One of my favorite podcasts in the whole world is my buddy Christopher Lockhead. His podcast is called Legends and Losers, and it is amazing, his podcast. So I'm throwing Christopher Lockhead under the bus right now. He is an amazing host, an amazing friend, and I suggest everybody listen to Legends and Losers. It's a great, great show.
I'm going to listen to it now.
I'm telling you, be ready.
Like you've come across it.
He's an F-bomb dropping whiskey drinker, like on the show. It's oh man, it's a whole other beast, and it's amazing. So awesome.
That's cool.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. Oh, I'm sorry?
I said I'm so good with that. I'm okay. If people authentically who they are, I can deal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was on my show, and we literally talked for like an hour and a half. Like it was insane. He's a great guy. Christopher Lockhead's just amazing. So, but yeah, I want to thank you for being on the show. Thank you for listening to other episodes. I hope that we stay in touch, and I wish I could see you Friday, but it's my daughter's birthday. She turns 11, so I'll probably be out with her. But next time you're in North Carolina, definitely I'll come see you speak, and we'll get together. So.
Awesome. That sounds great to me. And I have an 11-year-old, so I know what you're going through right now with the transition into middle school. Everybody
here we
out
go.
there can just, here we go. Exactly.
Yep.
So I can sympathize with what you're going through.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I appreciate you, appreciate your time, appreciate the wealth of knowledge that you have in the financial space, and I cannot wait to speak to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful night, everybody out there.
Thank you so much. So, Life Transformation Radio listeners, another impactful episode with amazing guests that are elevating everyone around them in their own way. If anything that you have heard tonight resonated with you, leave us a comment on iTunes, on Facebook. Get a hold of Katherine Dean. Again, her website is www.wealth2freedomformula.com. You got to check it out. Look her up on Facebook, facebook.com/wealth2freedom. Get with her. She will blow your mind when it comes to finances and building wealth. She said you have to have passive income, and you have to start now. So the first step, get a hold of Katherine Dean. She's amazing and authentic and genuine. You heard it from her first. She will help you with anything that you have questions about. So if anything resonated with you, get onto iTunes, leave a rating for the show, leave a rating and a review, subscribe so you do not miss anything. And if you want to get in touch with me personally, my email is Sean, S-E-A-N, Sean at The Success Core, C-O-R-P-S, Sean at TheSuccessCore.com is my personal email. Go ahead and email me anything that you loved about the show, about the episodes, about the guests. And I ask you to leave a review and subscribe on iTunes. It lets us know how well we're doing. And with that, I'll leave you with this. Live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the values that you hold deep in your heart. I call that living your brand. And until next episode, have a good night.